just out from carrying on the Conjuring season with Conjuring 2. This time, the Warrens' ordeal of dealing with the Enfield haunting in North London. The true story of another family terrorised by demonic possession and horrible demons, where they have to come and help rid of them. I really like this one. I said about it yesterday. Like, it's for a sequel, it's really good. Again, it's an interesting. The story is interesting. I'm not sure how well I believe it as a true story. I have an interest. I used to be very interested and fascinated in the strange and supernatural, but as the years have gone by, I'm less believing in that. And I have seen some documentaries, which is interesting because this film delves into trying to debunk it, and this film actually has a little bit of a subtext in places of dealing with non-believers and how they debunk and that, which I do find interesting that they have put that in there. I like that they have covered that element as well. I think it gives it a bit of meat to the story. I was saying yesterday and saying to you, just kind of cinema, I thought the Conjuring 1 was very well shot. I think this one takes it to a next level. Like, some of the cinematography and camera shots and camera work are really incredible in this film. I remember when I first saw it, that stood out to me. And as I watched it tonight for the first time on the cinema, it came back to me again. And I remember the shots that were coming. And I'm like, yeah, I remember being really excited the first time. That some of those shots are incredible. And it's a real highlight of the film to me. It's got a similar grade to the first, but slightly different, but works for this. And it does a nice little weird scene set in montage near the beginning to set you in England, which I always find funny when American films
the red buses on the London Bridge.
Being English and living in England, in London just down the road, it makes me laugh when they set this scene, which is like, you know, that was and I did find it interesting how they tied the Amityville case to the Enfield case. I thought that was interesting and also brave and controversial, because unlike Enfield and even the first Conjuring film, Amityville really was quite a nasty mass killing real life sort of thing. That's quite a dark subject, really, but an interesting start to this film. They start at Amityville and then linking that story to Enfield is a bold twist. But yes, there's a lot of cool stuff. I heard what you said about Crooked Man, and when Crooked Man appears, sometimes I think he's well done, by the way. I think Crooked Man is actually a pretty cool little character in this, but
it does go a little bit too much for this story.
You know what it is? For a very practical, scary film, obviously there's a little bit, it looks a little CGI in slight places, but it mixed. But you know what makes that work better than some other modern horrors is I think it's well edited. I think the way they cut it and edit it lends itself to the technique, and I do think it is pretty like snap bang well done. It is. I think it's a well made film. So I think the editing is actually a little bit better in this one than the first. I think it's very slickly edited, and the editing really emphasizes some of these like scary atmospheric moments. It on top of the cinematography, the editing complements that, and it makes it very a neat little package. I really do think it's a very, very well made film, and as probably as atmospheric as the first. It's very atmospheric in places.
The music, the shots, and the acting all lends to a very tense drama of a haunting film.
The music is strong and adds an element. I probably would say, watching them side by side night after night at the cinema, the sound design is probably a little bit better in the first, and as I said, with the music box with the little chimes and stuff, you know, the second probably isn't as strong in that area, but it's still good.
Well, for me, I love the film. Great film. I love the whole Conjuring series. I think they're great, and the most unbelievable part of this whole film, and it's something that has bothered me since the first time I saw it. I don't know if you can remember is the house. Remember I said to you yesterday, I find this one very Americanized. Even though it's set in England and the outside of the house looks like an English house.
Yeah, the outside is very much a London street.
The inside of the house is not an English house. It's far too big. It's a dingy little council house. But inside you could fit our whole house in the living room. It's so big, and it's got these great big long hallways and these big stairs, and also on top of all of that, it has this giant basement underneath. Very few houses in England really have bigger.
Well,
There's a few, but not like that.
I will just say, old London
down.
townhouses are quite big, and they do have basements. And
That
a lot
wasn't
of
an old townhouse. That was a normal 2-story semi-detached.
no, but it was an old. It was in '77.
It was a 2-story semi. It's a 70s two.
But
I lived in a 2-story 70s.
Yeah, but in Northampton, let me just say,
on the inside it was a 6-bedroom mansion, but on the outside it was a 3-bed two,
well,
like
about
up and
6
down.
beds because they were sharing bedrooms.
On
like,
top of that, they managed to show this house as the grimiest, weirdest, very gaunt house. Like the whole house, when the camera's panning around the house, it has the creakiest floors and the creakiest doors, and there's dirt on everything. But like, they're not a dirty family, they're a very clean, well presented family. But then during the horror scenes, you notice like everything's covered in grime, like a proper dirty council house, but it's not. And it's very, there's quite a contradiction when you're watching it, like with all the old pipes and these giant radiator steam pipes all over the house and stuff. It was just, I find it very interesting as someone who's grown up in many different styles of houses. The inside of the houses does not match the outside.
But I will just say,
do you not see the shots when, you know, when he's running around the building? You don't see how big that house was. That was not the same house.
Then. In Northampton, up the road, there's old big houses from 60s and 70s that also have basements like that. I filmed in a basement. We shot a whole film down there like that. And in Enfield, in London, which I do know, the houses are quite old and big, and some of the old council houses are spacious. However, I know that...
Do you see how big that kitchen was?
For a movie set, and the camera and lenses, it makes it look quite big and grand. However, there are houses that are quite big like that, and for the cinematic purposes in the film, it kind of works. And the outside is based on the little Enfield house.
Yeah, I know. The outside looks like an Enfield house. The inside does not match. The amount of bedrooms they had in that house does not match the outside of the house.
They were sharing a bedroom.
Yeah.
The mum had one.
There was still like 4 or 5 bedrooms in that house.
It's like there's 4 max. It's a 4 bedroom house. It's standard.
The size of them.
Well, if you see the photos, the real life photos of the girls levitating out the bed, that looked like that room.
No, it looked like a normal size room.
And because even at the end, which is the end credits, are quite cool. They show you side by side
really
comparisons.
Poor spatial awareness.
No, I know what a 17mm lens can do to a room.
Yeah,
even to our room, which is like compact with loads of film stuff. I know how I can make that room look massive on a lens.
But yeah, when you watch the Enfield haunting, the British one that was done, completely different vibe on the inside of the house. It very much feels and looks like an English house inside and out.
They did shoot some of Conjuring in UK.
I know,
but
they definitely built a studio for those rooms.
But the basement wouldn't flood like that. No. In England, an English basement, you wouldn't. It's not The Beyond. It's not a Flucci film. You wouldn't walk down knee deep into water like that.
You know the basement is not part of the house they shoot at the beginning, because if you look at the basement, it's got all these little windows around it. They're about this big, dotted around. And if you look at the outside of the house, there are no windows around the bottom of the house. I am nitpicking because this is such a good film. There's very few negatives about this film.
Before you go to nitpicky, I recommend Conjuring 2. It's on par with the first. They're both strong films. It's a good
Solid
sequel.
Films, yeah.
As a double bill.
This one makes me jump more than the first one. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, you did jump.
I jumped
you've seen it before.
Yeah, I've seen it probably 3 or 4 times, and every time I still jump.
Considering you're a little nitpick at Crooked Man, you jumped like hell when he came through the tent.
Yeah. No, it was the one, with the TV.
Yeah, but you also, when the Crooked Man head comes in the tent, you jump next to me, you bolted.
I blame the sound.
Good sound. Conjuring 2 has great sound. Watch Conjuring 2.